Just over 2 months ago, I quit my job and booked a one-way flight to the Philippines. Before I did this, I didn't do that much research or have a real expectation of what was going to happen. So after 2 months, here's 3 things that I wish I'd known before I made such a big decision. The first thing is intention and priority. If you were considering making a decision like this, my number one piece of advice would be honest with yourself about what you are wanting to get out of a trip like this. If it is just to escape your life back in your home country, then I would say that that's not strong enough a reason in itself to make a decision like this. I think when you are abroad, even for an extended period of time, you still are the same person. You might still have the same issues that you had at home, you're just in a different country. So I would say if it's a push reason to leave your country, that's why you're considering doing this, I would say that you're going to need more than that, much more than that, for making a decision such as this. And for myself, before I came, although I didn't do the most planning of what I was exactly going to do, I did a good amount of praying. And I determined that the reason for this trip for me was to grow closer to God, to find purpose in my life, and ideally to find love. So, as I say, those priorities and intentions for the trip are going to be different for every person, but I would just recommend that you are completely honest with yourself about what your intention is and whether you actually think that that's strong enough for you. So, my second piece of advice would be as flexible as you're comfortable with. Obviously, if your priority on going on a trip like this, quitting your job and going on this big adventure, is to see specific sites around the world, wherever it is that you're considering going to, then that might be a case where you want to book things far in advance to get the most value for money. For me, my priority wasn't that, so I found it very beneficial to be flexible in my plans. I think a good example would be if you had booked a lot of things and you had specific flights booked, specific tickets booked, and then on day 2 of your trip you meet the love of your life or you meet your best friend. Your trip then is almost compromised in the way that you had planned it, because you wouldn't, in all good faith, want to sacrifice this new personal relationship unless that isn't the priority for your trip. So I'd be honest with how flexible you're willing to be. Obviously, the more flexible you are wanting or willing to be, the more expensive tickets will be if you're booking closer to advance. But I would, again, it sort of links to the priority question. If your priority is maybe going on an adventure and meeting people and developing maybe as a person or maybe building a completely new life for yourself, then I would recommend being as flexible as possible for that very reason. And the third piece of advice that I would give is to actually know yourself before you commit to doing something like this. I think knowing maybe your limits or your characteristics as a person is a very important thing when making such a big decision as this. Whether it's your financial capabilities of what options would be available to you and sort of the limits to your flexibility, that's a big factor. In terms of you as a person, I think if you're the sort of person that isn't really an extrovert or doesn't really enjoy speaking to new people, that's completely fine, but maybe this sort of decision wouldn't be the best for you. And I think there might be a pressure some people might be feeling where you see, especially on social media nowadays, there's a big emphasis on people going and living their best lives. And people's best lives seem to be streamlined or almost pressured to be going on this massive adventure and seeing all these sights and being a massive extrovert, maybe partying or just speaking to people, filming everything. And that isn't for everyone. And that's completely fine as well. But it goes to maybe the question of pressure. Do not be pressured to making a decision like this in any way. A decision like this should be made for good reasons, whether it be love, finding yourself, purpose. That would be a massive recommendation for myself, to be honest with yourself and love yourself. Because if you're feeling pressured to make a decision like this, you quit your job, you end up flying halfway across the world and you're unhappy and you're out of your comfort zone for a negative reason and you're not actually doing this for the right productive reasons, then that's going to be a massive mistake. So just be honest with yourself and be true to yourself, and that's the most important thing, not what everyone else is doing. So ultimately, for me, making a decision like this and going on this this trip has been the best decision I've ever made. But the sort of self-work I did before coming on this trip determined how good this trip became. Because I knew the reasons that I was coming on this trip, I left it open-ended and prayed on it for me. Then the opportunities that presented themselves, I took them and was actively searching for them. I would say that if you don't feel that after asking yourself these maybe honest questions that you don't think this is the right time at least, then don't be pressured to do so. But also know that the world is a very big place. If you are unhappy with your life and genuinely are seeking purpose, seeking meaning, I would say first off, seek God and turn to Him for advice and discernment and His love. But then also be true to yourself and don't feel pressured to do something that you don't feel comfortable with. And yeah, if any of you are on a similar journey, or if you're thinking about going on a journey and have any questions, then I'd love to be able to answer any of them. But I'd love to hear your stories or your thoughts as well. So thank you very much for watching, and God bless you all.